Our voices have thundered through the halls of Congress.
We've willed the impossible into existence.
We've pushed the science,
Raised the funds,
shifted the narrative,
and transformed the reality of life with neuromuscular diseases.
For 75 years, we've built communities together.
established the field of neuromuscular medicine,
and made it thrive.
Call that a legacy,
Call it impact.
Call it momentum.
just call it ours.
because it's the generations of community heroes that give MDA the strength we have today.
And until neuromuscular disease is a thing of the past, you couldn't stop us if you tried.
Join us and celebrate 75 years of breakthroughs at MDA75.org.
You're stepping into the fast lane on the VTRN Sports app, 93.3 FM and 1320 AM Lynchburg, or by asking Alexa or Google Home, open VTRN Sports Lynchburg. Now, take the fast lane through the topics that matter across the Commonwealth. This is the Fast Lane with Ed Lane.
Multiple truths exist in the fast lane. How often have we started the show with that, by the way? Just a question worth asking as we welcome you in. VTRN Sports app, ask that smart speaker, open VTRN Sports, or Fast Lane, Ed Lane, however you consume us if you prefer the podcast option. And the multiple truths exist theme is where we are now today, or where we were for the TrostLaw.com Fast Take that you've already seen at Fast Lane, Ed Lane on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. And that being Heritage High School, because Brad Bradley has been coaching them for over a decade. We have a little bit of a unique familiarity with Heritage here at the Virginia Talk Radio Network, because our very own Ty Tracy, part of the morning warm-up, 7 to 8 a.m., VTRN Sports app, and ask that smart speaker open VTRN Sports, or 93.3 FM if you prefer to listen the old school way. But our very own Ty Tracy played for Brad Bradley in the earlier time that he was at Heritage. So there's a level of familiarity that we have because of that. And then that just, Brad has been great to us in the media for a long time. So let's also be transparent about that. But you put all that together and you can kind of understand that there, again, multiple truths exist. Because Brad Bradley has touted the Seminole District's strength for quite a long time. I think two things are true. I believe he believes that. Otherwise, you wouldn't keep saying that for a decade plus. But I also understand this. He's a very competitive person. That's probably an understatement for a lot of people that are familiar with him. And he's polarizing in a sense as well. Some people love the enthusiasm. I think it resonates well, very well, and it's proven to, with the players that are at Heritage available and then on his roster. Hard coach, but tough love. Demands respect, but if you were faking this, kids could see through that as well. And that's where, if anything, it blends the truth of believing the Seminole District is, in Brad Bradley's mind, the toughest district in Virginia, or one of, in high school football. With the fact that he kind of likes his guys to toe the line of being on the edge. I've never accused Heritage, and I don't, of playing dirty. But the way they practice with Brad Bradley's intensity, the way he coaches, and I've heard from officials, and again, we'll get a first-hand account because our very own Trey Lyle, the other half of the morning warm-up with Ty Tracy and Trey Lyle. But our own Trey Lyle is going to be on the sideline for plenty of games this fall. But I've heard from other officials that you actually don't hear a lot out of Brad Bradley toward them. Towards his players, it's a different deal. But you put all that together, and this is how Heritage, they've had sustained success. They've made deep postseason runs. They've made state championship games. And Brad Bradley and Heritage, they've won those things as well. But part of it is that, and they believe being toughened up in the Seminole District plays a crucial role in that.
You guys know how I feel about the Seminole District. Take nothing away from any other district locally, but week in, week out, and top to bottom right now, like Zaid said, our Seminole is probably the best Seminole it's been in a long time. And I take nothing away from any other team, but nobody in Roanoke or any of these other places would want to be in the Seminole week in and week out. It is a tough, physical gauntlet. And I use that all the time. It's a slobber knocker every Friday night. And if you come out healthy, and you can come out an opportunity to host in the playoffs, you got a chance to make it in the playoffs, you got a chance to win. Go back and look at the record. I've been here 14 years, going before me. The Seminole District winner or the top two Seminole District teams have an opportunity to either win the state, go deep in the playoffs, runner up, whatever. So I do. I'm very protective of this district because I think it's one of the best ones we got. I think it's probably one of the most physical districts in the state of Virginia. We're not a big bunch of Division I dudes. Like, we don't have a lot of guys that have been signing like Logan Thomas back in the day, and Lala that was in here, back in 2016, 17. But we got a lot of dudes that play small college football at Division I, Division II, Division III, NAIA, and that can play daggone high school football and play 100%, every single play. And I think that's exciting to watch.
So Brad Bradley speaking on the Seminole District and how difficult it is. Again, it's multifaceted. It is talking up the district. I genuinely believe that Brad Bradley buys into the idea of how difficult the Seminole District is. But it's also giving his guys that blend of, you got to bring it and practice every day, but also the level of, you're capable of playing on this level. And it's that level of connection that, it is, it is what has made Heritage. I wouldn't say they're the definitive team. They're not the team to beat at this juncture, the way LCA, they've had success over with Coach Rocco's squad and the ability to churn out Division I talent. But Heritage, they are in the same category as a program that is always respected and always one of the ones that you're going to have to fight for to get through in Seminole District play. And they have these years, and I'll call them lulls in air quotes. They're years where they'll make the playoffs, but they're more likely to, maybe win a game or two, but probably come up short of Thanksgiving football. Then they have the years like last year where they're kind of flirting with it. They make it to that Saturday before, that Friday night before Thanksgiving, and maybe they win, maybe they don't. And then there are other years where they're going to clearly make it past that into the state quarter, semis, or championship game. Like, there's a clear pattern with Heritage with that. And a lot of it is because of that. And so Brad Bradley talking about that, again, he is effusive in that, but also very, very effusive in the fact that the district itself and how tough it is prepares the Pioneers off season and during the season.
I get a lot more sleep. I'll be honest with you. These two dudes right here, along with the rest of my seniors, man, they have been in the system. If you guys have ever been to one of my practices, I know the girl, she came in the other day, and I don't think she knows me real well. I think she thought I was mad. I was just a regular day. But he's been a whole year with us. I'm hard on him, but these are my dudes, right? These are my guys. And this group right here is special to me, always have been, and definitely excited about coaching. But when you got a group like this, it just gives you a little bit more sleep because they take care and they start to police themselves and they start to coach themselves and they start to do things the right way. When you got a younger group, you got to worry about every little thing. And don't get me wrong, they were sophomores at one time, and they gave me that. They gave us that. But I think that I think to answer your question, a little bit more sleep and a lot more confidence.
And you put all that together, and that's what the Heritage roster has. And it goes back to that point of you get a couple of years together. He's identified these players before. He knows what to expect when young. He's not bailing on them, but you hold them to a higher standard. And there's this idea that kids these days don't take hard coaching. I think that's ridiculous, honestly. I'd actually go in a different direction. When I'm talking about kids these days, you've got to tell them why something is done. Because they're going to look it up on Google and may get the wrong answer. Or you have the astuteness to look ahead. We have younger people. I'm 39. I'm the oldest of the people that are in the on-air roles at the Virginia Talk Radio Network. I'm not going to reveal our great business manager, Melinda, or our fearless leader, Gary, in their age. But they've got some time on me in the lifespan. But Ty, TJ, Trey, we're bringing on a new intern, Luke. We're excited about him joining us. Philip has been with us for a while. He's on to bigger and better things, but he's part of the family as well. When you consider all that, a lot of them, if you explain why you're coaching them hard and why you want some expectations, they'll go the extra mile for you. You can tell me if I'm wrong, but because you work with us, TJ, but if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I think I probably am pretty hard and demanding on you and Trey and TJ and Ty and Philip when he was here, and it'll be that way when Luke gets more onboarded. Like, to quote Mike Tomlin, and this is kind of our philosophy at the Virginia Talk Radio Network.
The standard is the standard.
And this is what we just have to do.
Yeah.
And if you're in sales, as Melissa McCarthy would remind us,
will not be deterred.
So you got to have a tough mindset. But kids can take that. Young people these days can take that. And Brad Bradley has shown that at Heritage. And he's not the only one. Look, other coaches in the area have had blueprints that have worked well. Jeff JT Cruz at JF, they've had enough sustained success. I think we're seeing that he's a really good coach. Rocco at LCA, the results speak for themselves. I'm bullish on Chris Moore and Amherst this year, but Doug Smith, different style, but very successful at Appomattox. Sharness when he was at Alta Vista, and they've had other coaches. Deloach has done a great job down there as well. But there are a lot of coaches in the area who get and understand that. But with kids these days, if you explain to them, and you can hold them to a high standard, and if you show them love, it's just you can't BS your way through things. Kids see right through that, which is why, again, if Brad Bradley was kind of BSing the idea of the Seminole District being tough and you didn't believe it, I think kids would see through that and it would backfire and they would not go through a brick wall and practice as hard as they do and in the offseason train and prepare as hard as they do and add the football if they're playing another sport, track and field, basketball, baseball, wrestling. Other kids have done that. If you have the wrong mindset, you won't do that. But if you have the right mindset, if anything, you're going to embrace that level of hard coaching if you're a player because the coach connects with you. And again, I don't put Heritage at the top of the Seminole District. We'll get to LCA later, but I think they've earned the right to be viewed as defending state champions 2 in a row.
Yeah.
They're a program that clearly they've got D1 talent. They've got more on the way from last year to this year. They've clearly built something very strong there. And how that should be legislated going forward, this is nothing against LCA. I just think bigger picture, there's ways this could be handled differently. But while it is, LCA merely just getting their Jeezy on, and that's what they've done. So you look at Heritage, they've also had to do that. And I think part of the reason is, it's going to be a hard battle going up against a team like LCA and others on the Heritage schedule. You got to have that right level of edge and toughness, but also understanding that you got to have the buy-in of your coach and Heritage, they may not beat LCA. They've lost. They've competitive with them the last couple of years, but they have lost to them still.
Yeah.
And because of that, you need that right blend and that right edge.
Yeah, Heritage has lost, but they've also been one of the only Seminole District teams in the past 2-3 years that have beaten LCA, including in the playoffs. I called that game. That was incredible in itself.
And a good program. I mean,
yeah.
So we'll take a slight detour, by the way, in the fast lane.
Oh, boy.
Time to take a detour in the fast lane.
2022 fall. Jefferson Forest heads over to Louisa to play the Lions. And Louisa has these 2 freshmen, a wide receiver and a running back. And we know Gideon Davidson, and he's well worth being a top 100 player in the country. Probably will see the field early for Clemson and often in Death Valley. Louisa had a similarly talented running back as well, Savion Hyder, who yesterday committed to Michigan. And it was Michigan, Ohio State, Tennessee, and Georgia. If those are your finalists, you know that, well, let's keep it real here. There are probably a lot of
dollar bills, y'all,
involved in that decision-making. Not the only factor, but it is one.
Yeah.
And when you look at Hyder's Twitter biography, he mentions his representation/coaching. And if players are doing that, let's also keep it real here. You don't hire an agent for any reason except for, obviously, to get you the best situation, which includes
dollar bills, y'all.
But what I'm pointing out for that particular thing is when you look at those type of levels, and in Heritage, they've had guys. Elijah Davis, I know it didn't work out well for him at ODU, and there have been some things that happened off the field that may have contributed to that. But, when you look at the overall success of Heritage, Brad Bradley, Cedric Pierman went from William Campbell when Bradley was there to UVA to a 8-9 year career in the NFL. And I know he was, air quotes here, just a special teamer with the Cincinnati Bengals, just a special teamer, or like Logan Thomas at Brookville, who was just a role player as tight end. We're comparing them to the best in the world. This is you still have to be a freak athlete by Seminole District and normal standards to be on that level. And when you're competing against that, you need that level of edge.
Yeah.
But it makes you a better program if you know that's what you're up against and you have that intensity and edge every single time and regularly that's there. And if you listen to, Heritage's players, and in particular, David Bradley, who was one of the ones who spoke at Seminole District Media Day, or Zaid Holloway, on the role that teams have within the Seminole. Here's Zaid Holloway on the role that people play in the Seminole District and the value that contributes and how it's born out of this level of unique intensity and attitude from Brad Bradley.
Being in the Seminoles, it's big to a lot of people, because we all these kids playing against each other. We all grew up with each other, playing against each other, different cities, different towns. So I feel like this is a big drive towards us because we want to be you want to go out and be yes, my team beat you. It's a lot of stuff building up to like high school football in the district. Like, so yeah.
And that's David, of course, who spoke from Seminole District Media Days. It wasn't Zayd Holloway. That was David Bradley's comment. But he had that in the pride you have of being in the Seminole. And it fosters the level of competitiveness. And then you add into that what David Bradley mentioned as well about playing for each other, knowing roles, and embracing that.
Honestly, I think it's really like great to be playing in this Seminole District, honestly. Because, I mean, I feel like it's the most competitive in all Seminole Districts I've probably seen, honestly. Everybody on our team, I feel like they have a key to the team. They have I can't think of the word, but a role, basically. They have their one role, basically, that they have to stick up to or do in order for us to like win the game and be successful as a team.
You look at that, and Zayd Holloway, correction, Zayd's the one who mentioned that, and it was David Bradley with the first one. I'm getting my names twisted up here in the fast lane, but the point of the matter for both of those players is it fine-tunes you by having the intensity of the district and then having that conveyed through your coach and how that conveys through the offseason. It keeps a level of buy-in for a lot of these heritage players that Brad Bradley's found. He'll coach the athleticism, and he knows the right buttons to push. And it doesn't work with every kid at every school, but he clearly has found that and trusting that you can get the right out of it. And let's be real here as well. When you win early the way Heritage is done, and you had the resume from Brad Bradley and in particular at William Campbell, which is, I know he had time over in Roanoke, but William Campbell's in the backyard. They're in the same coverage area as, Seminole and Dogwood get a lot of the same attention around here. So that name carries a lot of cachet. It helps with early buy-in. And then once you've got the early buy-in and the results with Heritage, and you have high-quality players like our very own Ty Tracy in the early going who can help lay the foundation, it all of a sudden can spiral into what has been a successful team. And if we're talking glowingly about a lot of teams in the Seminole District, I mean, there's been a lot of positives to touch on in recent history. I know JF, they've had their lulls. Rustburg at certain points as well. We'll see how it goes with new head coach Trey Ross. Liberty they just are where they are right now in terms of rebuilding and, where that program is and trying to get something going in the Seminole when realistically they should probably be in the Dogwood. But you put all that together, and it's what makes this district tough. But if you have the coach that knows how to navigate it brings out the best in everyone, game in and game out, and on a relatively routine scenario. Speaking of routine, you want there to be a routine trip when you're driving around, but it doesn't always work that way. Sometimes you're involved in something that's not even of your own doing. That's an auto accident. First of all, Trost Law would like to remind you that you need to have the proper amount of underinsured motorist coverage just in case somebody's driving around and that other person doesn't have insurance, so you're not left holding the bag with the insurance company for an accident that's not even your fault. It can happen. And if you're in the situation like that, or just need some consultation about having been in one of those, that's where Trost Law can come in. They have been serving our community, as LeBron likes to remind us.
Not one, not two, not three.
Not even four. Over 4 decades. TrostLaw.com and 777-HURT. We'll table the high school football conversations for a moment before we get to Ben Cates of NewsAdvance.com. But there are other topics. College football to kick off the Fast Five at 5-ish.
It's time for Fast Five at 5-ish. 5-ish minutes on 5 relevant topics done around 5 p.m.-ish. Ish, because our counting skills are kind of ish. Let's start with number 5.
Team captains, they have been announced for the Virginia Tech Hokies. I would expect Virginia's to come later. It may be a longer process. You factor in the overall roster transition at Virginia, and I would think that will happen later. Liberty, I don't think they'll name their team captains until they name a starting quarterback. Honestly, more on that in number 4. But JMU in a similar boat as well with team captains and how that goes about. Virginia Tech's, I think, is the easiest because you have an established at-the-school quarterback in Kyron Drones. The fact that he's named a captain, it's a good thing for Virginia Tech. They lost a lot of guys, whether it's to the NFL or to SEC schools.
Yeah.
2 offensive linemen, a cornerback to the SEC, among other players. If you're Virginia Tech, your quarterback, who is, again, presumably your highest paid, let's call it what it is, employee or team player. I know they don't like the term employee in college sports, but we're going to use it in the fast lane because that's kind of what they are. He needs to be the type of guy that's setting the tone. I like that if I'm Virginia Tech. Still bearish on their season, still have a lot of concerns about Brent Pry, particularly his coaching acumen in close games and how all the changes will pay off. But you add Kelvin Gilliam in, who sounded like a leader when we spoke with him at the ACC football kickoff. You can go back and hear his thoughts at Fastlane Ed Lane, wherever you listen to podcasts. You add in the kicker, John Love. You got offense, defense, and special teams mentioned. Caleb Woodson, who seems like he has really emerged at linebacker as one of the key players there. That's a good sign for Virginia Tech because that's been a weak point. And I think one of the biggest criticisms you can levy against Brent Pry is he's a linebackers guy and has never figured out how to get the right linebacking structure at Virginia Tech. That's not a good look. As much as the 1-12 record in one-score games has been discussed, the difficulty as well, identifying your supposed position of strength as a coach, linebacker, not actually bearing out is another example. But there's been a lot of optimism around Caleb Williams. If you're a Virginia Tech fan, you can at least hope that that will yield to some kind of results. Also, Benji Gosnell, not a surprise given that his brother Steven, who's now with the Buffalo Bills, was viewed as a leader for Virginia Tech. I wouldn't say there are any surprises amongst leaders, but it still is a positive thing, which, by the way, we will discuss 5:45 today with their football analyst that you hear on the VTR and Sports app, 1 p.m. next Sunday, August 31st, Mike Burnham. Meanwhile, NASCAR, 2 nuggets. One, considering rule changes in the upcoming season. We'll discuss this with Mike Neff of FrontStretch.com tomorrow. But rule changes in the upcoming season to allow its premier series drivers in the Cup Series to moonlight in the lower tier series. The No Wrap Series, the NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series is what the Busch is going to be called. And then the Truck Series, they're going to be allowed to moonlight more often, according to Sports Business Journal's Adam Stern, or at least that idea is being, to mock college football for a moment, socialized. More on that in a second. If I'm talking about NASCAR, honestly, I'm okay having more of a presence because I think the presence of Cup Series regulars forces the better Xfinity drivers to learn what it takes to compete at the Cup level and really brings out the best. They don't always win, by the way, but the weekends where they don't make it special. I don't like the idea of being able to run all the races where Kyle Busch and Brad Keselowski used to do that, and they basically were series champions, and you didn't have a chance to develop. It's a fine line to blend. Right now, the maximum is 5 races to moonlight. Maybe you boost that number up to 9, which would be a quarter of the season with a 36 points paying schedule race in the NASCAR season. Speaking of changes to NASCAR in the schedule, by the way, the schedule has come out for 2026 in NASCAR. Similar date weekends coming up late March, and then that Halloween-ish weekend in late October, early November for Martinsville. And similarly, just like this past weekend, mid-August, for Richmond Raceway. It'll have a truck race and a Cup Series race on a Friday night and a Saturday night, respectively. I get TV ratings were down, but for Richmond, the attendance was better. You reward a track for that. But the other notable changes, points-paying race is coming to North Wilkesboro. They're going to basically take Dover's points-paying race. It'll be held in mid-July, which I'm excited to see because the heat of the South and the humidity can be a bear for fans to consume. But it can be really exciting if you're actually watching a race because of the slickness of the track. And if you factor in the tire wear that has been a factor, those are positives in NASCAR. The other one is Dover now is going to be the All-Star race. My biggest concern, I think Dale Earnhardt Jr. hit it very well on his podcast earlier this week about the fact that Dover benefits the longer a race goes, and the All-Star race really doesn't go with that. I kind of wonder what the future of Dover is right now when you consider the rumblings of maybe a race at the Phillies baseball stadium or at the Eagles stadium and the possibility of a street race in Philadelphia. Not to mention Pocono has done real well with one race date, and Dover, they've struggled a little bit more. Kind of wonder whether this potential venue might be on the chopping block, and there could be some discussions between NASCAR and Speedway Motorsports, which operates the date at Dover, about its future going forward.
It looks like they added San Diego too. We talked about that.
Yep, they have. That's now official, and we knew that was going to happen, but that's on the schedule for NASCAR. Chicagoland is back as well. Not going to have the street races elsewhere. But I honestly would like to see maybe a little bit more, but once the news came out a couple of days ago from Jordan Bianchi, the Athletic, that Iowa was going to have a date next year, I think at that point we kind of realized the schedule was starting to take shape, and now NASCAR, they've gone ahead and released that. Meanwhile, a little bit of in case you missed it news, Carolina Panthers, with Andy Dalton nursing an elbow injury, they have signed UFL MVP and former UVA star, the one Virginia quarterback, to lead them to a victory against Virginia Tech in the last 20-plus years, Bryce Perkins to the Carolina Panthers. That was a couple of days ago. Look, he is going to ultimately be the type of player that probably bounces on and off an NFL roster. Great athletically, phenomenal at Virginia, but not necessarily the touch timing passer. And in the NFL, it's just so much more imperative than in college. But personally, I love to see it. I think it's really kind of cool to see Andy Dalton being, not seeing him injured, but seeing Bryce Perkins getting another chance, which we might discuss tomorrow with former Virginia Cavalier wide receiver Ahmad Hawkins. Speaking of the NFL, by the way, for the 6th straight season, the NFL will continue their on-field social justice messaging with in racism and breast cancer awareness, and it takes all of us and the things that you see in the end zone. Multiple truths exist once again in the fast lane. I think it's kind of cheesy, and you're talking about the NFL, which historically may not practice what they preach. But you're also talking about the fact that what is it hurting to have this out there? I mean, I get some people just hate the idea of social justice messaging. This is not saying screw Trump or go Trump. Screw Kamala or go Kamala. You're not taking a political stand with any of this. And if it's just a friendly reminder and you're using your end zone space to reach millions of fans because NFL games generally generate that type of traffic, I don't know why people are that up in arms about it. I don't see what the harm is.
I don't either. And I hate that it's considered just a woke message, but I love how inclusive the NFL is.
There are certain areas where I think leagues do get too woke, but I mean, really, this is the one in which we're going to go lose some sleep over. We can do better than that. Meanwhile, when we return in the fast lane, you might think we can do better, so we will. Ben Cates, newsadvance.com. Prep Sports Reporter talks benefit games this coming weekend and our observations on the Seminole District. That when we return here in the fast lane.
Savings are heating up, and so are the summer super deals at the Used Car Superstore on the Sheeler Motor Mile. You don't need super strength to get approved for credit. Sheeler owns the finance company. Getting approved for credit is super easy on the Motor Mile with financing options for every budget. Sheeler makes car buying easy with the hottest brands all in one location. Cars, trucks, vans, SUVs. Many have miles in the teens, remaining factory warranties, and some are even local one-owner vehicles. Over 900 used vehicles in stock now and ready to move. More than any other dealer in the area, plus exceptional service, selection, and savings. Need some summer spending cash? Sheeler will buy your vehicle even if you don't buy from us. Plus super money for your trade. Volume selling means volume pricing, and we've got the volume with over 900 used vehicles in stock now. No games, no gimmicks, just summer super deals at the Used Car Superstore on the Sheeler Motor Mile, your premier used car dealer, locally owned for over 50 years. ID1 exit 118C in Christiansburg. Call 866-SHEELER1. Always open at Sheeler.com.
As a mom, I want to enjoy my time with my family and not energy-draining, time-consuming projects. That's why I trust Executive Maintenance. When I need a handyman, I call Executive Maintenance. When I need lawn care and landscaping, I call Executive Maintenance. And when I have a big project like gutter cleaning and pressure washing, I call Executive Maintenance. Guard your family time. Trust Executive Maintenance for all your house jobs. Visit executivemaintenancelynchburg.com and call them today so you can spend time enjoying your family as I do.
This fall, Saturdays belong to the Hokies. Oh, and these Hokie fans are going crazy here in College Town, USA. Lane Stadium, electrifying, iconic, the best in college football. Oh, you'd have to be here to believe it. Built by tradition and fueled by passion. Breaks 3 at the 10 to the 5. Touchdown Tech, where every roar and every cheer brings you home. Are you ready to start jumping? Tickets on sale now. Visit Hokiesports.com.
Wednesday on the morning warm-up, quarterback battle, quarterback battle, quarterback battle. The key word that's going on right now with the Liberty Flames. We got an update about it with Bryson Gordon, newsadvance.com. Plus, he gave us some thoughts on the Liberty defense after Saturday's scrimmage. Thursday, Andy Bitter, TechSideline.com, joins us talking Hokies on the morning warm-up. Weekday morning, 7 to 8 a.m. on VTRN Sports, 93.3 FM, 1320 a.m., and on the VTRN Sports app.
Pull up a seat and join our conversation. Around the Table with Vicki is my new local radio show and podcast discussing leadership, entrepreneurship, philanthropy, faith, and family.
So obviously in entrepreneurship, there's a lot of challenges, that people only typically talk about all the great things, but there's also a lot of challenges that come with entrepreneurship and sacrifice and lessons learned. So what were some of the biggest challenges that you faced throughout business, and how did you overcome them?
Good question. I think this sounds so crazy, but when you're young and you're you get a couple things in a row that work for you, you get this mentality that you can just accomplish whatever you put your mind to it. And there's a lot of truth to that. If you push yourself and, maybe you don't know everything, but you learn, you read, you surround yourself with folks that can help you get to that point, you just keep struggling. You get knocked back sometimes. You don't achieve your goal. Something doesn't happen in the time frame that you want. You just keep going.
Mhm.
I know there was times where I always had these, I'm a goal-driven person where I make a list every night of what I want to do. And
You do.
And, then you get to work and things happen and they don't get done. But
And you come home and say, I didn't get the
I
same
didn't
done
get
on
that
my
done.
list.
So,
Yeah.
but it helps me know what my focus is.
Around the Table with Vicky, Saturdays at 10 a.m. on WIQO.
Hi, I'm Chuck from Aquatrek Adventures in Salem. The Virginia Talk Radio Network and InsaneRadioDeals.com have helped our company grow by sharing our company's message throughout Central and Southside Virginia. The gift cards and experiences sold on InsaneRadioDeals.com have brought us many new customers. If you're a business that wants to grow with a message that resonates and gets results, I highly recommend InsaneRadioDeals.com and the Virginia Talk Radio Network. Simply put, it works.
When it comes to legal matters, there is no substitute for experience. Hi, I'm Randy Trost with Trost Law. We've gained knowledge from serving Virginians for over 4 decades. Since 1982, we've handled auto accidents and personal injury cases ranging from simple fender benders to complex tractor-trailer cases. And we're ready to put our experience to work for you. We hope you never need our services, but if you do, just give us a call at 777-HURT or visit us at trostlaw.com.
Head to lynchburg-hillcats.com to lock in your tickets for the Lynchburg Hillcats this season. Now here's VTR in Sports.
Step into the Fast Lane 24/7 at Trey Lyle VT and Fast Lane Ed Lane on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and wherever you listen to podcasts. Now, back to the Fast Lane.
I mean, we're not above holding ourselves accountable in the Fast Lane because, well, you can just go back and listen to anything we say, Fast Lane, Ed Lane, however you consume podcasts, because
And guess what? We keep receipts.
right there. So let's get some officiating, or a greater. Ben Cates, newsadvance.com local sports reporter, back with us once again in the Fast Lane. Ben, our trostlaw.com fast take from earlier in the day featured on this premise. Multiple truths exist. We always kind of believe that in the Fast Lane anyway. But multiple truths can exist. Brad Bradley believes in his heart of hearts that the Heritage Pioneers play in one of, if not the toughest districts for high school football in Virginia. When you've said it for over a decade, I genuinely say, if you didn't believe it, at some point it would slip up that you didn't really believe it. And he always preaches that. But the other thing is, it also seems like the type of thing that maybe I'm just finally catching on. You probably have noted this longer. It may be a method to the madness as well to keep the right edge for the Pioneers in season, practices, off-season conditioning, workouts, everything else, and kind of fits the personality he likes. Guys that are right up on the edge, but he knows how to make sure they don't go over the edge in the wrong direction.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Ed. There are multiple truths, I guess. There are fewer facts, I suppose. There are many truths, but facts are pretty important. And I think it is a fact that Seminole is one of the better districts in the state of Virginia. It's it is the only district in which every member of the district, all 8, have won state titles, which is a very interesting fact. Heritage is coming off of a really strong year. Anytime that you go out early in the playoffs, it's not necessarily a success from Brad Bradley's standpoint. But Brad is a guy who also, looks to the future, and he's known for a long time now that a sophomore class that he had 3 years ago now are seniors and are really strong and have developed a lot of experience over that time. And so this is a team for Heritage this year that is extremely senior laden, and it's got a lot of experience, and they're going to be a tough team to beat.
You referenced the experience of Heritage and how this kind of cycles and ebbs and flows for the Heritage Pioneers, as Ben Cates is with us here in the Fast Lane. They gave LCA arguably some of the toughest games that the Bulldogs have had the last couple of years, save for that opener in 2023 at Salem against the future Georgia Bulldog, Chris Cole, the linebacker, and the future running back at Tennessee, Peyton Lewis. How much of that is tied to the fact that Brad Bradley knows that it's a challenge when you go against LCA, but he wants his guys to embrace that?
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the bigger games on the schedule. And especially when you're talking about the Seminole District, LCA Heritage is always one of those games that, are going to stand out, and it's going to be a battle. If only because, Brad can get his guys really, really motivated for that one. And LCA obviously knows that Heritage is one of the stronger teams in the district. And so, that's going to be a game to watch, and LCA obviously a team to watch this year as well. So fireworks when those teams face off, and there's quite a bit of history already there and in that matchup. And so yeah, we'll see what happens when that one gets underway.
Ben Cates 8, Twitter, newsadvance.com, where he and his colleague Bryson Gordon, who appeared in the morning warm-up, 7 to 8 a.m. weekdays, right here on VTRN Sports, and at the morning warm-up hour of VTRN Sports on Facebook Live and YouTube, to go back and consume it, because
guess what? We keep receipts.
Right there, they are previewing the Seminole District with articles, much like we are with our TrostLaw.com Fast Takes and discussions here in the Fast Lane. We have yet to get to Jefferson Forest, which we do, their football games presented by TrostLaw.com, and we have also yet to get to LCA, which we will do in the coming days. But we've gotten to the rest of the district. We'll put Liberty in their own category. Outside of Liberty, how much of a lot of the district is the idea of taking that next step, whether it's for select programs, winning multiple playoff games and playing and practicing on Thanksgiving weekend, or for others, getting to the point where they're finally getting into the playoffs, which they've narrowly missed in prior years?
Yeah, you're seeing a lot of that this year. A lot of turnover, a lot of teams that either have to replace a lot of guys or actually have a lot of guys back. And so in both of those instances, you've got teams that are trying to improve from last year, teams that went 7-3, 6-4, 5-5. And you can kind of lump those schools together with this fact that they are looking to take the next step forward. That includes Brookville. It includes Jefferson Forest, which has kind of its own issues going into the season, good and positive, and some things that really have to happen in order to have a successful season. It includes Rustburg, and so you've got 3 or 4 teams there in the Seminole District that are looking to take that next step, and that's what they've really talked about is how can we do this? How can we go? EC Glass is another one that went 5-5 last year and really wasn't happy with the results, and so changed up a bunch of things and got some new guys in the system. And so a lot of those teams are grouped together with that kind of idea that a lot has to happen and a lot has to change in order for a successful season to take place in 2025.
Ben Cates 8 on Twitter, newsadvance.com, and we're at Fastlane, Ed Lane, Facebook Live, YouTube, however you listen to podcasts, and also VTRN Sports on Facebook Live and YouTube as well. The other part to the Seminole District is that this is benefit game weekend within the Seminole District. You mentioned, we're kind of in the same boat, that you kind of have a tepid interest in, the first scrimmage, which was last weekend. How much more does your radar go up for benefit games, knowing that, it has much more of a regular game flow, even if you start to see a depth chart and maybe get an idea of where teams might be able to fill in holes with either depth pieces or if injuries, or shall I say, when injuries inevitably arise?
Yeah, I think it means a little bit more at the high school level than it does maybe college or at the pro level, just because you've only got so many guys, and only so many guys can play. And so you want to, get your guys out there after, months and months of real practice, and a lot of time in the weight room. You want to get them out there and at least get them a few touches, just game, kind of like atmosphere. But at the same time, I think you can only put so much stock into it because you're playing a half, maybe a little bit more. And then you're getting your reserve guys in there too, and getting them some looks. So yeah, it's kind of both ways. I think you can look at it as kind of an early test, especially if you have a really good benefit game matchup, or obviously you can look at it as this is what we got in the reserve and guys for the future.
Ben, we are going to table the last topic that we would have, because it will inevitably arise as we get closer or deeper in to non-district play, which begins, believe it or not, next week, regular season games. And that is the great article you have about area teams turning to out-of-state games to fill non-district schedule. If nothing else, we'll do it in a couple of weeks when the Jefferson Forest Cavaliers get ready for Mount Airy on Trost Law and JF Football, presented by TrostLaw.com. In the meantime, Ben, thank you for your time today in the Fast Lane, and we're almost here. Football season is basically back.
You're right about that. That's an interesting subject. I look forward to talking with you about it, Ed, and thanks a lot for having me.
We always enjoy it. Ben Cates with us here in the Fast Lane. When we return, Hokie Talk. Backup quarterback option behind Kyron Drones. We might be getting more clarity. We'll find out when we return with Mike Burnop, slated to step into the Fast Lane on the VTRN Sports app and ask that smart speaker open VTRN Sports.
Don't miss the final days of our big summer sales event at Magic City Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Get a new 2025 Ram 1500 and save up to $10,000 off MSRP. Choose a new 2025 Jeep Grand Cherokee and get retail bonus cash up to $3,500 off MSRP. Hurry in for huge final days discounts on over 230 pre-owned vehicles. It's almost over. Get to our big summer sales event at Magic City Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Bedford, 1750 Independence Boulevard. MagicCityBedford.com.
Are your windows difficult to open and close? Are you air conditioning the outdoors with gaps around your old, worn-out windows? It's time to call Collins Siding and Windows. Let their experienced craftsmen transform your home's appearance with beautiful new windows while also saving you money on energy costs. Since 1989, Collins Siding and Window has been transforming homes in the Lynchburg area. Call Collins Siding and Window today for all of your exterior home projects. Call today, 434-525-6307.
Hey there, fellow travelers. It's me, the Hotel Whiz. Before you go anywhere, call me day or night for hotel rates too low to publish. I'll save you up to 75% on over 500,000 hotels across the globe. You see, I've already done the research, so you don't have to spend time online trying to find the best deal. That's up to 75% off. Just call me, the Hotel Whiz. It's a free call, and you get instant access to rates too low to publish with no cancellation fees.
Make a free call now and save up to 75% off your hotel rooms the next time you're going somewhere for business or pleasure. Call the Hotel Whiz now and get instant access to rates too low to publish. 800-378-2714. 800-378-2714. 800-378-2714. Call the Hotel Whiz right now for rates too low to publish. 800-378-2714.
Just like summer, the deals at InsaneRadioDeals.com are heating up. Check out these great deals on food. $50 gift cards to the Caribbean Jerk Pot. $50 gift card to the Yard on 5th Street. $25 gift card to Ballad Brewing. $25 gift card to Donnie D's Bagels and Deli. $50 gift card to Downtown Cairo. All these great food deals and much more at InsaneRadioDeals.com. Check these deals out right now before they run out.
Savings are heating up, and so are the summer super deals at the Used Car Superstore on the Sheeler Motor Mile. You don't need super strength to get approved for credit. Sheeler owns the finance company. Getting approved for credit is super easy on the Motor Mile with financing options for every budget. Sheeler makes car buying easy with the hottest brands all in one location. Cars, trucks, vans, SUVs. Many have miles in the teens, remaining factory warranties, and some are even local one-owner vehicles. Over 900 used vehicles in stock now and ready to move. More than any other dealer in the area, plus exceptional service, selection, and savings. Need some summer spending cash? Sheeler will buy your vehicle even if you don't buy from us. Plus super money for your trade. Volume selling means volume pricing, and we've got the volume with over 900 used vehicles in stock now. No games, no gimmicks, just summer super deals at the Used Car Superstore on the Sheeler Motor Mile, your premier used car dealer, locally owned for over 50 years. ID1 exit 118C in Christiansburg. Call 866-SHEELER1. Always open at Sheeler.com.
Hey, this is Virginia Tech analyst and former Hokies tight end Mike Burnop. You're listening to The Fast Lane with Ed Lane and Trey Lyle. Join the chat at Trey Lyle VT and Fast Lane Ed Lane on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram.
We're just going to act like that was all planned out by our own TJ Wilkerson. I'm not sure if it was or not, but he's been working hard today. He's been on top of his game. if you've been a business owner that's hearing from him, you can probably exhale because you're like, wow, I don't have to hear from Ed anymore. I can hear from somebody that is probably a little bit easier to get along with. And Ed is just going to beat me up until we're over. So that's what TJ brings. And he brings us in with that rejoin to our next guest, Mike Burnop, a voice you'll be hearing. Is it 10 days from now, 11 days from now, whatever. Sunday, August 31st, 1 p.m. airtime. VTR and Sports App, 93.3 FM in Lynchburg and 106.3 in the Gretna Danville Southside area. Mike Burnop back with us once again in the Fast Lane. Mike, great to be speaking with you. And, well, you don't need to give me a round of applause, but we'll let you give one for TJ for having the rejoin perfectly ready for you to introduce us, to introduce you.
Very good. Good to be on with you again there, Fast Eddie. How you been? How's the family?
I'm good. I'm good. Our kids are 7, so first grade began yesterday, and my better half, my wife, took the photos for social media of the kids looking cute, and then me being the one who, I'll say I like people to appreciate the work she puts into that. You could say the snarky side's coming out as well. I took the behind-the-scenes photos and videos that are now up at Fast Lane Ed Lane on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram today, which is her trying to get me and the boys to cooperate.
That's a full-time job there.
Yeah. When I get home tonight, she's going to be like, I like that guy more than I like you, Ed.
I hear you, brother.
But we're well. Football season's here. The whole optimism is in the air. For Virginia Tech, they lose a lot of talent from last year's team, whether it's guys who transferred up to SEC programs, who went to the NFL draft. But you've had a chance now to be around them in the offseason, to see them. Are you under the impression that while there may be a talent departure, the coaching staff and player blend may fit better together this year and equal better results?
Yeah, I do. I mean, that team had a lot of talent last year. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows they underachieved. Brent Pry kind of owned up to it. He made the necessary changes that he had to make. New offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator, new offensive line coach, new strength and conditioning coach. And he made the changes he needed to. That team had a lot of talent, 17 guys. 5 of them got drafted, 12 others got invited to camps at the NFL. And a lot of those kids are contributing and going to make it. Jalen Lane up at Washington. Relative of yours?
Yeah, he's the more athletic relative. That's how we mark him.
Yeah, he's been doing great. And, so they've been flying under the radar a little bit. But, they lost 31 guys to the portal. And they brought in 30 guys from the portal and 19 freshmen. So it's a totally different team than you saw last year, different team than you saw in the bowl game, different team from the spring game. And I think they're cautiously optimistic, but they brought in the pieces to the puzzle that they needed. And now the key is to keep Kyron Drones healthy. He's the number one important piece to the puzzle. And get that supporting cast to come in and blend in. Brent Pry loves the chemistry on this team. He named the captains yesterday, I guess. And they're excited about the opportunity they have, especially in these first 2 games, playing some high-profile SEC teams.
You are putting me on the spot right now as Mike Burnop, the voice you hear on Virginia Tech football on the VTR and Sports App, 1 p.m. Sunday, August 31st for the opener against South Carolina, as Mike is with us in the Fast Lane. Mike, we'll start with the quarterback, Kyron Drones. He was named captain yesterday, one of 5 for Virginia Tech. How important, though, is it for him, for the locker room, that he earned that recognition? And with all the turnover, he had a year that probably didn't go the way he wanted last year, but it seems like he's handled it the right way in the offseason, and that announcement verifies that.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he's healthy now, mentally and physically. It was a tough year on him when you think about he got a lot of credit. He got a lot of criticism. Social media beat him up. When he got injured, he couldn't finish and play the last 4 games. Got banged up against Clemson. He'd never really been hurt in his career. So that was a tough pill to swallow for a young man, to deal with all that adversity. But he's come back. He says he's better than ever. He's in a great spot. He loves Coach Montgomery, the offensive coordinator. He and Monty have good chemistry. So he's excited about that. He loves what the defense is doing. And I think he really likes the weapons. Yeah, I mean, replacing Bashal Tootin is big and some of those receivers, but they got some guys that got talent, Ed, and we'll see how they can mesh together.
So there are a lot of parts that are part of that level of talent, Mike. One of those points that you could bring about when you're looking at Virginia Tech and where they've made changes, and you touched on it, is the protection of Kyron Drone. What impact do you believe we will see, even in the early going of the season, and South Carolina poses a great test, of the addition of Matt Moore, the offensive line coach from West Virginia?
Well, Matt's been great. I mean, he brought those 4 guys with him from West Virginia. 2 of them are going to start. So, and they've been cemented in. They've been kind of penciled in since spring practice that those 5 guys were going to be the starters. So they've had a lot of time working together. You know, Brody Meadows is back now. He's back healthy. So that's been a good sign. You know, they got some kids that are pushing for playing time, but I think they're happy with that. Kyron likes that group. He thinks they will protect him. But you got to think about this thing, Ed. You think about Kyron now. He's had that orange shirt on now since last year, right? All spring practice, all fall practice. He hadn't been touched since probably the Clemson game last year. So I asked him the other day, we had him on, and I said, how do you deal with that? You know, knowing these dudes are going to come after you from a pretty fast SEC defense, and they want to take your head off. You know, I said, how hard is that to get your mind set for that contact, which you haven't had in forever? And he kind of said, you know, after you get that first hit under your belt, you're okay, but you need to get that first one down. So I think he'll be a smarter quarterback. I think he'll slide more, get rid of the football more, not take the big hits. And I think he learned a lot from last year.
When you're talking about important additions to Virginia Tech, is Mike Burnop, football analyst who will be part of the coverage again this year on the VTRN Sports app, 1 p.m. Sunday, August 31st, season opener in Atlanta against South Carolina. Good Lord willing, fingers crossed, prayers up, travel safely down there. I've got a weird schedule. I'll be getting in early Sunday morning, so we're rolling the dice on that, Mike. But for Virginia Tech, we touched on the offensive line for Kyron Drones, and we've touched on him as well. All this coming together under Philip Montgomery, the new offensive coordinator. What do you make of the hire, and what type of approach can we expect, similar to or different from how Kyron Drones has been used in prior seasons?
You know, Philip Montgomery was around some great quarterbacks. You know, he coached RG3, Heisman Trophy winner. He's been around some really good quarterbacks and developed them. And you go back and think about it, Ed, when Frank Beamer started that bowl run, they played in the Shreveport at the Independence Bowl, the first game. The last game Coach Beamer coached against Tulsa in the Independence Bowl, the head coach of that team was Philip Montgomery. A lot of people don't know that. They put up 52 points on Bud Foster's defense. So he's a guy that can get the ball through the air. He's wide open. He's going to do a lot of different things. They want to be able to run the ball, of course, but he's not afraid to throw it around. Use the slot receiver, use 5 outs, use the running backs to catch. So it's kind of a sideline-to-sideline offense. It's going to be exciting to watch, and I'm looking forward to it. He's a smart guy, head coaching experience. I don't think we'll see some of the flub-ups that we saw last year in game management, clock management, late game stuff, because I think Philip, being a head coach, is kind of seasoned in that regard.
More on the late game in a moment, but the defensive side of the ball, as we're chatting with Mike Burnop here in the Fast Lane, legendary tight end and former Virginia Tech tight end, now current analyst for the Virginia Tech Radio Network, and you hear their games on the VTRN Sports app. Defensively, Sam Cephas, he's known as a guy that is multiple, meaning lots of different roles for players. That would beg the question that we will have for you, which is, how does he transfer that from being in a spot where players have multiple roles and responsibilities, but they're not thinking they're able to properly react against a very good quarterback in Lenore Sellers and others the Hokies will be facing?
Well, you know, the good thing going for Virginia Tech in this game, Ed, is going to be the fact that I don't think South Carolina knows what Virginia Tech's going to do offensively or defensively. So he's got a nice plan for Sellers. He's a great quarterback, dual threat. You know, I think he probably wants to keep him in the pocket and keep the pressure on him. You know, he's just kind of a lot like drones. You know, they're dangerous when they get out of the pocket and they make plays with their feet and they extend plays with their feet. That's when they get real dangerous and big plays happen. So that's something you got to worry about. But Sam's got great NFL experience. He was good at Wofford, what he did there, leading the nation in defense. I think he's got plans for different quarterbacks, different offenses. and he's not afraid to use them. So I think one of the real keys to this game is going to be the halftime adjustments, because you think about it, both of these teams in opening games, you don't really know what they're going to do, but Virginia Tech maybe have a little better handle on what South Carolina is going to do just because they've been there under Shane Beamer. Sellers is back. Yeah, they got some new guys on defense and whatnot, but I think the halftime adjustments will be huge in this game.
Last question. You mentioned close game struggles for Virginia Tech, Mike. We'll wrap it up on this. We've touched on a lot of the new additions coaching-wise for Virginia Tech. Is it too early, and will it be too early against South Carolina even to say that the biggest addition might be former Stanton River Golden Eagle turned new strength and conditioning coach Jarrett Ferguson?
No, that was a huge plus. He knew he was a Mike Gentry disciple. When Coach Beamer had his great teams, Mike Gentry was the strength and conditioning coach. We didn't have all those issues. Last year, you saw time after time, Ed, late game cramping. You get tired, you get mental lapses, you have physical breakdowns. And he told him, Jarrett said, I'm going to run you to death this summer. And he did. And he's got him in great shape. They had a scrimmage 2 Sundays ago. They had 110 plays, 3 hours and 15 minutes. Now, one guy cramped up. So he's got him in great shape. He said, I'm going to make you guys know that after you played the full game, you still got gas in the tank to play another game. And so I don't think we'll see those lapses like we saw last year. He was a great hire. He's been a great addition, and the kids love him.
That's awesome to hear for Virginia Tech's sake and for many in our backyard who remember Jarrett Ferguson going way back to his time at Stanton River. Mike, we remember your analysis going way back. When you were a tight end, it was before my time, but I've heard you on the radio a while and glad to have you, including for another season right here on the VTRN Sports app.
Yeah, good to be on with you, Ed. I'm glad everything's going well, and I'll take care of that family. And get those brownie points when you can, brother.
I will try to do that because it's going to be hard to come by with all the traveling on the horizon. But this is the fun time of year. My wife at least knows what she signed up for.
There you go. Great time of year, no doubt.
Indeed it is. Mike Burnop with us here to wrap up the Fast Lane today. Great to chat with him. If you missed it, Fast Lane, Ed Lane, however and wherever you listen to podcasts. And, we'll get some thoughts back on that as well a little bit of a while ago. If you're a Liberty fan, we had John Manson yesterday, and Bryson Gordon from newsadvance.com was today in the morning warm-up. If you're a Wahoo fan, Ahmad Hawkins slated to join us tomorrow. The Fast Lane, 5 to 6 p.m., VTRN Sports app, and ask that smart speaker, open VTRN Sports. Thanks for listening to The Fast Lane on VTRN Sports, 93.3 FM, W227 BG Timberlake, and 1320 AM, WVGM Lynchburg.